All right. Well, I'm going to cover a little piece of debate news. Destiny, who I'm not exactly the biggest fan of, never really have been. I don't know. I agree with him on a lot, but it's just his personality has always kind of turned me off to his content. But you know what? I totally understand why he has a fan base, so I'm not going to shit on him for any, non-material reason. Yeah, he's just one of those guys that I don't really feel the vibe for. But he did do a really, really good debate against Kim Iversen on, oh my gosh, what the hell is that show? Modern Day Debate. Modern Day Debate podcast. So let's take a look at what they did here.
Well, he never said, go down there and stop them and do all. He said, we're going to go down there and peacefully protest. That's what he actually said. You then want to put something else in his mind and in his mouth, just like you do for all of your fellow Americans.
He said, stop the steal. What does stop the steal mean?
They believed that the election was stolen.
Okay,
that is something that is fine for a person to believe.
Okay, and if you think the election was stolen, and if you think the election is stolen, and you send a ton of people down to the Capitol building where they're certifying
protest,
why would you peacefully protest a stolen election?
That's what he said.
No, he didn't say. He said, "I know you're going to go peacefully protest."
Down there and we're going to peacefully
protest. He didn't say that. No, you're putting words in his mouth. He never said that quote. That you just invented that quote.
Then you tell me the words that he said when he said, "Go down there and violently take it."
No, he said we need to fight like hell. You need to fight.
No, he totally said you have to fight like hell. I kind of want to find the clip.
Like hell, you're going to lose your country. He said we need to give these weak Republicans, something to fight for. We need to give them a backbone. We need to help the strong ones. They're going to help us. He made these statements over, and I can read you 20 statements.
Yeah, here we go. Found it. And
because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It was an hour-long speech filled with falsehoods and calls to action. You'll never take back our country with weakness, President Trump told a fired-up crowd at his Save America rally, urging his thousands of followers to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue and fight like hell. Less than an hour later, the first violence at the Capitol.
Yeah, from the man's words. Yeah, they're from the man's mouth to your ears.
That he made. It was an hour speech.
Destiny, you make things up.
Well, he's the one under federal indictment.
What people are thinking. You make things up about what people are saying. You're
making it up. I haven't made up a single thing. You just made up a quote from
fantasy land.
What fantasy land?
You need to focus on facts.
I am focusing on facts.
She just she keeps rolling out this stuff. You need to focus on facts.
I do focus on what people say. You're the one that you didn't even know what the legal theories were that you were purporting earlier.
People that support RFK Jr. are just hateful. They hate the country.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
America.
They do absolutely 1,000,000%.
Look, you're just making stuff up.
What am I making up? You haven't said a single thing I'm making up.
30. Did Trump purposely block the right-leaning immigration bill that Republicans have wanted for years? Yay or nay?
Yep.
I think we covered that.
Wait, that was a yes then, right?
He usually has some much nicer setup. Wonder what's going on there.
He did intentionally block that. That was shot down.
I'm sure, just like Democrats blocked him previously.
Wait, which Democrat called? Wait, what was the Democratic leader who shot down a bill that had the support of both halves of Congress?
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Nice. Oh my God! To see her brain just go, wait, what?
Democratic leader shot down a bill that had the support of both houses of Congress to pass.
She just kind of sat there, like the second she heard that she realized she had to just stop her argument because she's like, oh crap, I don't have an argument.
Which bill are you talking about?
There was a bill that was ready to go that the Republicans and Democrats supported in Congress, and Donald Trump said, no, keep the border open. I want to win the next election.
So then Republicans apparently opposed it because he doesn't have the power to just say, don't pass this bill. You can't pass this bill. People had to actually vote on that, right? So a bunch of Republicans decided to go along with what he wanted.
Yes, they were bullied by Trump.
How is that any different than what happened when Democrats were also blocking any sort of border bills when Donald Trump was president?
Because Democrats not agreeing with a bill and not wanting to vote for it is different than an independent leader.
Yeah. When you have unilateral support for, well, not unilateral, but you had bipartisan support for the bill. They were ready to pass it. It was ready to become law. And one phone call from Donald Trump just totally put the brakes on it. So he's entirely correct here.
Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Biden saying, guys, don't vote on this piece of legislation. We want
How
to
do you know
open.
How each Democrat felt? I'm sure that there were Democrats that actually did agree, but they went with the party line.
Because we can look and see what they say publicly.
And also how they vote. that's kind of part of politics. You're on the record. There's this whole record thing.
We have
What they say publicly is to support the party line.
supporting
Okay, like seriously, if you're gonna be that kind of person where you're just like, oh well, yeah, they say this in behind closed doors, yeah, they don't really feel that, then why are you even here?
the party line is different
I mean, that is a total straw man argument.
than this leader was telling us that we need to change our vote. The Republicans were on board with the border bill.
What's the difference? The party line is from the leadership.
The difference is that there's a party line that people probably believe in, and there are individual candidates that might put themselves over the party or the country, which is what
Yeah.
Donald Trump did.
Yeah, and that's why the optics of Kamala Harris with her all like what she's saying at her rallies is breaking through.
Republicans were ready to support a bill in Congress, and Donald Trump said, don't support it. I want to win the next election.
Yeah.
Democrats don't do that.
Why are there so many former left-wingers
Destiny nailed that one.
turning into rank-and-file Republicans? What are your thoughts?
Like a lot of Democrats are switching over to the Republican Party. I mean, I think we're seeing a shakeup of the parties, and we're seeing a lot of people from the
what
right,
evidence
like Dick
is
Cheney,
there
move
for that
to the left.
argument?
I wouldn't say right to left. I would say perhaps the parties are shifting themselves. So we've
Oh, like the Civil War.
seen, like a lot of the
I don't see that, by the way. I'm not seeing this whole party shift that they've been talking about. The party shift is happening with MAGA and the Republicans, because realistically, what's going to happen is if Donald Trump loses this election, the Republicans are in a great position to start rebuilding their party and start, getting a little less culty. But if he wins again, that's pretty much the end of, the GOP classic. So
the intelligence community, the warmongering community, the military industrial complex, the Dick Cheneys of the world.
yeah, this is where I have to admit it is a little rough. Like, I kind of wish Dick Cheney just said he was not voting for Trump and didn't endorse Harris, because it really is kind of, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, well, I'm voting along a line with Dick Cheney. I mean, before Trump, that guy, he was it as far as like a demon in politics. And that man is the worst. So, to quote John Oliver, fuck you, Dick Cheney, or Jon Stewart and John Oliver.
World supporting Democrats, and we're seeing
And myself, fuck you, Dick Cheney.
people who had previously been Kennedy Democrats now supporting Republicans.
That's not true in the slightest. I mean, if you're going to honestly think that the RFK Democrats are now supporting Republicans, you're so wrong. RFK's own family came out against him, and they said that they're backing Kamala Harris. So you can try and spin that, but that's not the reality of what's happening.
I think what you're actually saying is just there are some people very far on the left who are anti-establishment, who hate the United States, and these people find themselves in easy company when it goes to aligning with people on the very
America, bad crowd.
far right. And then I think that the fact that like the whole MAGA people are generally just anti-establishment means that it's very easy to get anybody else that hates the United States or hates the establishment or takes foreign money from
Man, he talks fast.
people like Russia.
This is at normal speed, by the way.
Russia or Iran or China to all go and join their groups as well. So I think that it's a pretty easy alliance when you get a bunch of people that hate the state, hate the government, hate the institutions, and are just in general anti-establishment. And they
I don't
stand
pretend to know how people are thinking or feeling, nor do I have any desire to insult people.
That's legitimately laughable.
You don't know
What are you talking about? Kim Iversen is one of the, she's a Twitter troll. And on top of it, she comes out with these stupid videos where she likes to wax poetic on, on politics and then just be like, well, I feel like there's more in common now, but at the same time, there's a civil war coming.
people are thinking or feel. How do you make comments on anything
I'm
publicly
not going
ever?
to sit here and claim that all of these people hate America when they're participating in the democratic process. I'm not going to make those types of characterizations or call them basket of deplorables or do any sort of insulting of my fellow Americans because they're participating in democracy and they decide that the person that you want to vote for is not who they want to vote for.
That's actually one of the more sensible things that she said. I kind of hate to agree with that, but
Okay, well, that's great. I will call out people who I think take money from other countries and
oh, okay. I mean, I also agree with
they
that.
don't declare it. People like who worked under Tenet Media, other people that are still operating in this media environment, people like yourself probably. I think
I mean, that's a bit of a call out.
it's worth calling those people out when they have other
I don't
kinds of
take
allegiances
money
to other
from-
countries.
Are you
Number
claiming?
one,
Are you?
Listen, okay, so I hate playing devil's advocate here for any of these assholes, but a guy like Tim Pool, he even didn't know Dave Rubin is the one where the emails came out, and it really does look like he knew exactly what he was doing. So that one, for him to be like, I didn't know that I was taking forward money. Gay there, Dave.
Making an.
But her, this is kind of a dick move.
Did you just say that I'm taking money from any other? What did you just say?
Probably, almost surely, yes.
Come on.
And then,
I mean, it is funny.
Number two, I think that it's worth calling
It's a
out
dick move, especially in a debate.
people that I feel have anti-American ideas. So, for instance, when Donald Trump says he wants to destroy the Constitution or suspend the Constitution, I think that that's worth calling out. The Constitution exists above all three branches of
You're
government.
a piece of. Let me just say it. You're a piece of. Sorry, you just are. To
It's kind of weird that I'm like, I don't disagree with you.
make that kind of characterization of me, to make a claim that you know nothing about. I've never taken a single dime from any other country, not even this country. I am
Wait.
completely independent. And for you to make that sort of characterization, that sort of slander, that sort of
You don't know that. If you're online, listen, any of us in this space at all, and I'm talking just all of YouTube, you really don't know, specifically when you're streaming on YouTube. You know, anybody that's giving you money could technically work for the government or a government for that matter to kind of sway your, not even maybe sway your opinion, because that was like the whole thing with the Tim Pool stuff. It's like they were just paying him because he was already doing it. So
slur right here in front of everybody. You're a piece of shit.
yeah, but also I would argue that, to sow political division, they keep paying these, they keep paying us just to make sure that we constantly, create division just by being like, well, I'm leftist, you're rightist.
And I speak for a lot of people when I say that.
I'm sure.
I mean, she does.
How are you doing? I'm sure they're all flying to Moscow right now.
Oh, come on.
Right. Thank you.
Question
Yes.
for both debaters. Is Putin a dictator? And will you denounce Russia's involvement with tenant media?
Is Putin a dictator? Yeah, obviously, of course.
I mean, what's a dictator?
A dictator is somebody that rules
Is she really doing this? Come on.
without having themselves able to be questioned by their population with free and fair elections. Oftentimes, it's through a singular party. Oftentimes, it's through a top-down authoritarian control, meaning they don't just control the state and the government like Putin does. They also control large swaths of the economy and the population through oligarchies, which he does. And they also tend to control the distribution of media through organizations like RT.
She somehow looks like a more pissed off Shannon Doherty. And Shannon Doherty, rest in peace, always looked pissed off.
Which he does. That would be a dictator.
Well, then you just described the Democratic Party. I mean,
Which major media organizations the Democratic Party dictate policy to?
CNN, MSNBC, all of the liberal mainstream media outlets that are taking direct talking points, speaking in unison. We see this all the time, and they all come out saying the same exact thing, tweeting it all out, all in unison, like they got talking points from the DNC.
If that's possible, then why did all of the media attack Biden for
Wait. Yeah, how does that make any sense? Especially with the media like that was happening from March to May, because even pre like the discourse of Joe Biden getting out of the race, it was so slanted, and everybody, even Republicans, could admit that, where the coverage was completely slanted. They graded they've been saying this a lot, but grading Trump on a curve is it's just what they do. It's what everybody's been doing. They have been kids gloving this guy forever. I mean, obviously, I'm not breaking any new ground here by saying, oh, the mainstream media totally wants Trump to win. Duh. But for real, for you to have that opinion about Biden, like, what? Seriously, like, you think that they were giving him preferential treatment before he dropped out of the race? That's insane.
Step down. If Biden is
because
a dictator,
that's what they. Biden's not the dictator. It's
Who's the
it's
dictator?
The people behind.
The people are the dictator? That's called a democracy.
The people behind Joe Biden. Us. Yeah, you just described a democracy. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand how democracy works. She honestly thinks that our democracy is like a dictatorship where it's like the president is the king of America. That's how it just works.
And
The people?
It's not a democracy. Whoever chose Kamala Harris, because it certainly wasn't the people.
The voter. Well,
Yes. You know what? As somebody who actually cast a vote for Joe Biden in this primary and his vice president, I did cast a vote for Kamala Harris. So you're just objectively wrong.
we actually did when we voted for that ticket last time. You know, if Biden died,
thank
that
you.
Harris would have
Last
also
time.
just stepped up to
Yeah,
be the
thank
leader
you.
on the ticket. If Biden died, would that have been anti-democratic?
Should George Bush continue to be president because people voted for him once? So if they vote for him once, it's okay to just keep keep putting the person in over and over and over again. I mean, that logic fails. You have to vote every single
You can apply that logic to Donald Trump. What are you talking about?
time. That's why we have democracy.
We
That's
vote
why
in the
continue to
elections, in the
vote.
general elections. Yes, we do. We vote in the general elections. And typically, yeah, your incumbent does run again over and over again, which is what
that's what happens. What is this idea that you just don't run the incumbent? And again, how do you not apply that logic to Donald Trump?
George Bush did. Yeah, that's what happens.
Speaking
Correct.
Of the general
But wait.
election.
Do we not feel like Putin? Wait, so is Putin not a dictator?
I don't know if he's a dictator. I'm not Russian. I don't really care. It's
Rayball
not my
says-
country. It's not my country. I don't deal with it.
Wait.
Wait. Do we not care then? What? Because the United States has to oppose.
Yeah.
Like,
No, we don't have to oppose. We don't have to get involved with other countries and other elections.
Do you think that in World War
What? So you're okay. Wow. So I love these people that are so isolationist that they're just like, we shouldn't even get involved. We should spycraft. What is that? Espionage? That doesn't exist. Anything that leads to these wars doesn't exist. We should just totally just wall up all of America and just never let anybody in, never let anybody out, and just focus on us. What the actual fuck is with these people?
II? Do you think the United States should have stepped up to fight against Germany?
I think that the United States.
That's such
for
an
a long
easy
time
yes or
did
no
not-
question.
That's an easy yes or no.
Step
not
up to
an
fight
easy
against.
yes
It's
or no
such an easy
question.
yes or no question. Should
It
the
is
United
not.
States have stepped up to
Why-
fight against
why-
Germany?
why- It's not an easy yes or no question. The United States
What?
decided it was in the United States' interest after the bombing of Pearl Harbor to go into that war. Prior to that point, the United States did not.
They're giving me
had
fat.
there
I'm
not
asking you,
been a
should
bomb-
Yeah, you're just, okay, historical facts. Thank you. He asked you for your opinion on whether or not America should have intervened in the war.
the United
Had
States?
there not been the bombing of Pearl Harbor, I don't know.
So we don't even know if we should have opposed the Nazis.
So if you like
You could actually argue again, like that because us not intervening sooner, that's why it happened. It was going to happen eventually.
what
I mean, they were the Nazi sub off the coast of North Carolina. That's proof right there.
Hillary Clinton has done, if you think that she
But according to you, that should have just been allowed to happen.
did an excellent job
Because, or that we should have had an alternate path into the war. What the fuck is? Does she ever think about anything past what she just said?
with foreign policy, then Kamala Harris, I suppose
Bunch of people in the comments asking that about me.
you would think that she's got excellent policy points.
Real quick? What's one good? What is a Jill Stein foreign policy point?
She doesn't have any. Give Russia what they want and don't ask questions where I got my money.
Ending the genocide in Gaza.
How?
What? Wait, what?
How? By stopping support of Israel. Israel is reliant on our support in order to continue doing what they're doing.
Okay, so Israel's not relying on our support to continue doing what they're doing. They can absolutely fund themselves.
Yeah, they can.
I think that one of the biggest red herrings for
Yeah, and I also brought up in one of my last videos how technically somebody else could step up. I used Russia as a example, and then that got everybody all riled up. But it was an example of who could step in. Because again, when you leave a vacuum in a world power, and then you just kind of raise your hands up and go, nope, no more, we're not going to participate in this, then you're kind of just conceding that, you're ceding that ground. So like, I don't understand how that's a good strategy, specifically with trying to broker a ceasefire. There is no perfect answer to this question, but everybody pretends like they have it.
basically somebody who is a paid foreign asset or somebody who just knows nothing about foreign policy is usually when they talk about peace a lot in their foreign policy plan. Peace is a meaningless word. Nobody wants peace. People want justice. It's very easy if somebody's invading your village and wants to take over your entire country or take over your entire city to say, oh, well, let's just be peaceful and lay down our arms and let them take over everything and steal our economy and lead our country and dictate to us what we ought to do. Nobody wants peace. People want justice. They want to feel like something is happening that is satisfying the desires that they have as a nation, as a country, as they are entitled to in the world. So when Jill...
I mean, you're kind of just breaking everybody down, like, to just be the same person in that. I don't agree with that. And
Stein says things like, I want to defund our military by like 75%.
Yeah.
When she's saying things like, I want to delete over 700 U.S. foreign...
Which, make no mistake, when I start talking about the Pentagon budget and all that stuff. All I'm trying to apply is the same logic that Republicans always use to want, like, being okay with spending that money and just letting a black budget exist. But they're not. Then you talk about entitlements and things that actually help the American people, and that's where they want to start, going cutting the budget. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I've always said that it's kind of like, all right, we need to cut, like, you're spending all this money on TVs and all this bullshit, motorcycles, and then you look at your budget and you're like, I need to stop eating. That's kind of what that is.
Military bases. When she's saying things like, I want to end all of our involvement in every single conflict ever, what she's actually saying is, I want to create more room on the planet to make the world.
Is this guy, I'm sorry, is he involved?
I want Russia
what is
to
he
be deciding
doing?
how Russia-Ukraine ends. I don't want the United States.
Like, I'm already confused by the fact that his backdrop and his microphone, like, everything has taken a hit, because he used to have a pretty decent setup and good audio quality and video quality. And now, I mean, he looks, and on top of it, like, come on, dude, just give up on the, like, we get it. Like, you work out, dude, and you wear suits, but can you, I don't know.
Have any involvement there. I want China to be signing deals.
You don't look professional right now, especially with your setup. I'm just saying.
Between Saudi Arabia and Iran. I don't want the United States to be involved there. I want all of our
coming from me, of course,
our foreign adversaries to be the ones that are dictating policy to the rest of the world. Because remember, just because the United States steps back from a leadership position doesn't mean nobody else is going to take their place, which is exactly what everybody that says peace, 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 like Jill Stein, wants to happen. They want other countries to be those leaders and not the United States.
A lot of Americans don't want to be in.
Oh, you know what? I just thought about this. Maybe he's got a mobile setup, and you know what? I don't want to criticize too heavily.
Which is high inflation.
Inflation has come down.
I mean, I don't even have buy lighting, guys, so...
The Fed wants to cut rates. Why would the Fed be talking about cutting rates if inflation was still too high?
Yeah, it's a good question why they want to cut rates just weeks.
No, that is a good...
before an election.
Why would you just repeat that back to him instead of just being like, yeah, well, wait.
It's really a good question. Why?
No, she doesn't understand how the economy works, apparently. I hope that, Destiny schools are on this one. Which, knowing him, he's going to
suddenly want to do that, a record cut to the rates.
See what you will.
What is the implication that the Federal Reserve is beholden to the Democratic Party? It's an independent operation of banks. What do you mean? I mean, we can do conspiracies if we want.
Well, they're definitely beholden to the establishment.
At this point, it's almost like she needs it completely broken down for her. Like, she needs... Oh, man.
They're part of the establishment. Harris is certainly the establishment candidate compared to Donald Trump. So I think they would have...
Drives me nuts as half these people have poli-sci degrees.
A reason for wanting to maintain an establishment candidate in the White House. But when it comes to Kamala Harris...
Well, hold on. To be clear, what you are just blindly and conspiratorially suggesting, that's what Donald Trump actually tried to do, right? Your implication is that somehow the Fed is making political decisions. You know that Donald Trump was trying to force them to make political decisions, right? That when Donald Trump took to Twitter and took to the bully pulpit as the president, he was attacking the Fed for talking about raising rates. He was attacking the Fed for that. That's what Donald Trump tried to do. What you're asserting with zero evidence that Biden and Kamala... What, do you not believe the inflation rates that are being posted? Do you think that's all a lie? So the Federal Reserve is just acting on nothing and nobody in our economy can see that? Or...
Well, don't you think that it's interesting then, if you really believe, and maybe you're right, that the Fed completely operates completely independently from any political influence whatsoever, the fact that they feel like they need to do a rate cut this big, what does that tell you?
What do you mean a rate cut this big?
Things are not, this is a very large rate cut.
No, it's not.
This is a large rate cut. Don't you just...
It's not a huge rate cut, but when I learned just how much a half a percentage point when they and she did make the point. Yes, it's usually a quarter.
Half a point out of nowhere. They usually do a quarter of a point, not a half a point. That's actually quite a large rate cut.
No.
For them to be doing that right now shows that they believe the economy is in dire straits under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that they have to take drastic measures in order to correct it.
No. Hold on. I'm so sorry.
Why are they?
No, that's not the reason they do that. No, because inflation was so high. That's why they did the half a point, is because it's corrected and rebounded to that point. So man, again, I'm not like an economist, but even I kind of understand why they did that.
Doing it.
Wait.
Also, why they waited so long should be a bigger question, because they constantly pushed it back. And that's why a lot of us were, anybody who was trying to buy a home or a car was asking when the fuck this was going to happen.
Do you think, what are the two things that the Federal Reserve try to manage?
Why don't you tell me?
Okay. So you don't know. Okay.
She doesn't know. Just be like, I don't know. Enlighten me.
Okay. The Federal Reserve tries to balance unemployment and they try to balance inflation. Okay, these are the two indicators that the Federal Reserve looks at to determine how they should set rates. If inflation is getting really, really, really low, then the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates because we should have some amount of inflation to keep the economy healthy and moving. That's how the Federal Reserve makes decisions. And then it also looks at unemployment. If unemployment is getting, too high, then they might cut rates as well. It just depends. Like these are the two things. But balancing out unemployment and inflation are the two. That's the mission statement of the Federal Reserve. How could you accuse, the Federal Reserve of acting in a politically partisan way? You don't even know what the mission of the Federal Reserve is. You're just saying random things.
I'm dropping that accusation. I'm asking you, why did they do the rate cut?
Because they feel like inflation has come down significantly.
That's the only.
So they want to boost.
You want to sit here doing the conspiracy thing, fine, but also look at just facts. This is just how it works. This is how the Fed operates. I'm sorry that it happened during an election year, but. Yes, let's go on about how, principled the Republicans are at not doing anything that they've ever said they're not going to do during an election year.
Boost it back up?
Yes.
Lockdowns have led to massive disaster.
Who do you think was the president during the majority of the lockdowns?
Who do you think actually directed the lockdowns?
Okay, the answer was Donald Trump. The answer was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump.
No, again, shit rolls downhill, guys. Like.
Was the president during the
he was at the top of the hill.
majority lockdowns, number one. Number two,
it's rolling down. Oh no.
When you say what did the Democrats do, I mean, we could look at a ton of different things. They had the child tax credit, something that Kamala Harris wants to bring back. The child tax credit slashed childhood poverty by 50%, 54%. It was a huge boost to working families. What else did they do? Biden passed legislation to make meaningful change and meaningful investments in our ability to manufacture microprocessors with the CHIPS Act, the ability to reinvest in our infrastructure with the infrastructure bill, a bill that Donald Trump wanted to get passed, but he couldn't the 4 years that was here. He actually managed to pass a bill that tried to offset the spending of the bill with new tax receipts, with the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, what didn't they do? I mean, the Democrats tried their best, and I think we've seen the results of that. The United States is
He's being very fair right now.
Crushing the rest of the world due to actual legislation that I can articulate and actual policies that I can articulate. Donald Trump just rode off of an economy that was already booming.
And then you guys just go based on vibes and this nostalgia for a time that you're never going to get back because it was a post-recovery. Like, if you want to have the good economy that you had pre-Trump, then you're just going to vote for Kamala Harris, and then we're going to institute the policies that were kind of Obama era like policies, and that's going to help the economy. But keep telling me again how much Republicans are good at handling the economy. Like, they don't add to the deficit, or they don't. Which, again, you guys only care about when it's a Democrat.
For the last few years of Obama, we've been.
That's why this isn't part. This is why it's not part of this election cycle, specifically because Donald Trump ran up the deficit so bad that even Republicans know that they can't defend it.
Posting all-time highs in the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones since I think 2013, and all Trump did was came in and he spent more. And then bullied the Fed when they talked about raising rates because they were getting worried about inflation. And then
he totally did that.
Again, you can't articulate a single policy or a single thing that Donald Trump would do. All I heard was there was one Trump policy I've heard of called tariffs, and I don't like that. And I don't know what else he would do, but hopefully it would be better.
What I'm saying is that what exactly did Biden and Harris do that
Biden and Harris
managed mess?
I mean, they managed COVID decently well. There was inflation, but there was less inflation in the United States compared to, the OECD, compared to the G7, compared to every other Western country in the world. We're doing better than basically everybody else right now. Yeah, there was inflation. There was inflation worldwide. COVID was a huge, worldwide stimulus given to every single country.
No, it wasn't. According to a lot of these people, it was a conspiracy to take America down. Other countries don't exist. What are you talking about? That would mean that inflation was happening in other countries, and it was actually a global problem, and there's global supply chain issues, and there's a global thing. What? The whole globe isn't just America? What? You're breaking news to most people that fucking vote in this country. Ugh.
country on the planet. So of course there's definitely going to be inflation felt, and Donald Trump didn't do anything to help inflation. Why would I think Donald Trump could help inflation when he had a booming economy and he didn't manage to cut the deficit? Donald Trump couldn't manage the budget when the economy was exploding. Why would I think he could manage the budget when the economy is having trouble? And now you've got the Fed actually announcing
that is a point that is not brought up enough, and you know what? Good on Destiny.
They're going to be cutting rates because inflation has come under control. So it seems like the administration is heading in the right direction. Why would I trust Donald Trump, whose only economic policy he's put forth would increase inflation, which are tariffs? Why would I trust him to do anything good? Can you articulate like a single policy that you think Trump would do that would be good for the average American, that would actually help the economy?
So you don't think that the party that is saying we are the party for democracy and then completely subverting that democracy and not even listening to the will of the Democratic voters and instead just giving them, force-feeding them a candidate, you think that that is fine? That's democracy.
Standing for democracy is not what you do inside of a company. Democracy is not what happens in the McDonald's manager's office.
Wait.
Democracy.
She's talking. Unions
is what we do to protect the institutions of the United States of America while we're expressing our will through the structures of our government. The Democratic Party, as a private party, their goal is to put up the candidate that they think can win best. When the Democratic Party talks about protecting democracy, they're not talking about the internal primary process or how they, put delegates to different candidates. They're talking about defending democracy in the United States of America as part of the U.S. government. So their goal should be to put up the strongest candidate. There aren't a ton of people in the Democratic Party that hate Kamala Harris and are mad that they put her up. There are some extreme people.
Which you could argue she was the strongest candidate at that point, specifically because she did have a little bit of the incumbent recognition at that.
There are some outsiders that are trying to say that it should be different, but Kamala was part of the most winning ticket in all of presidential history.
Also true.
If anything, I think I'd be more upset if I was a Republican and I saw that Donald Trump didn't even debate the other Republican candidates because he was so scared of now, as we've seen.
No, that would require their moral outrage to have an actual consistent thread. But no,
being exposed
they can never do that.
Delusional, insane old man.
They want to sit here pretending like, oh, you guys didn't get a choice. Yeah, technically neither did you. You guys just kind of accepted that Donald Trump was going to be the candidate the same way that we kind of just accepted that Biden was going to be the candidate. It's just you guys can't wrap your head around the fact that there is a large portion of your own electorate that hates him.
That can't even, hold his composure on stage. Donald Trump didn't have a single debate with Haley or with DeSantis. And you're going to say that process...
I just kind of caught myself, though. Yeah, we were having the same issue, but now...
process was somehow more democratic. No, they're private parties. But the Republican Party can choose their nominee however they want as well. I don't care.
Kamala Harris has the lowest rating ever of any vice president in the history of this country, and yet they anointed her as vice president without even an open primary.
No, again, this goes back to what I was just saying. Like, you need to apply that to Donald Trump, then, with not having a debate, during the primaries. Like, that's just as bad.
That is completely against democracy.
I have a choice. I can vote for whoever I want in the general election. So you're completely wrong there.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
The goal of the party is to put forth a candidate that...
Yeah, like, what do you want here? Like Brazilian politics where we just all put up, like, it doesn't matter how many parties there are. There could be 2,000 parties, but it still always boils down to the two majority candidates. Like, what
that is the most likely to win the election. I think that the Democratic Party choosing the person who is on the ticket that won more votes in any presidential election in all of history is probably better than trying to have an open primary and having us devolve into a crazy, shit show for a month trying to figure out who the next candidate is going to be. I think the DNC choosing Kamala Harris probably gives them the best chance to win in the general, and I will be voting for Kamala Harris because she was part of the ticket that all the other Democrats voted for on the last election. If you're not happy with that or if you don't like that, that's fine, but it's not anti-democratic because nobody is forcing you to vote that ticket. If you want, vote for somebody else.
Yeah,
or just
no, you can vote. You can vote for the independent party. Go ahead,
or have a protest vote or whatever. And
vote for Cornel West.
Probably never do that again. The idea that it was anti-democratic for the DNC to pick the path that they wanted to put forth who they felt was the best candidate, which traditionally they do with the delegate process or an open primary. But this time, because of extenuating circumstances, they just went with the vice president who was already on the ticket. I think to call that anti-democratic is silly. There's nothing anti-democratic about that. Nobody's forcing you to vote for Kamala in the general election.
Depends on how you look at it. If it were Donald Trump who subverted the election and Kamala Harris actually wins, and you believe in your mind, or for sure that she actually won, wouldn't you want them to challenge that? Wouldn't you want them to try to do whatever they could to preserve democracy? The only reason you're against it is because of the person And you've got to look deeper than that. It's got to be about the actual process, not the person. Donald Trump might not be your guy or my guy, but nonetheless, the process needs to be protected.
Yes, I agree with that. You already said that you don't know the process, so I don't know why you're appealing to the process. Donald Trump did try to challenge the election with 64 different court cases. He won one of them in an inconsequential Pennsylvania case that didn't really impact much of the vote at all. He lost the other 63. He was shot down in the Supreme Court a number of times, and he was shot down when he tried to present false evidence to state legislatures a number of times. Everywhere that he tried the process, he lost, and that ended up with him begging Pence to basically just choose.
I don't know why we have to constantly explain this to these people.
Choose him as the winner of the election. At what point can we not say this is probably anti-democratic?
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, that was a perfect way to end that, because that's exactly like, if they're going to always do that and they're always going to ask those types of questions about, well, is it democratic that you didn't get to choose Kamala Harris? It's like, well, can you ever apply that to like January 6th, again, any of this stuff? But yeah, well, if you like what you saw here, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.